So hello, my name is Abraham Lee, and I've made a couple levels for Half-Life Alyx and a lot of levels for Half-Life 2, and a lot of the stuff I've done has focused on combat and encounter design. And so today we're looking at not my level, but actually a level by Quantum, who has been sort of studying the Combine and trying to figure out how to do levels and stuff for them recently, which I think is a wonderful thing to try and do. I went through a bunch of the same process myself when I first started making levels for this game. And so he's been kind enough to let me take a look at some of his map files and help him out with some of the AI scripting and some other things. So with his permission, he's actually given me the source files, and that's actually the map I have in front of us today. This is going to be a lot more of a slightly more edited video, but also a little bit more rambly and off the cuff. I'm kind of winging it a little bit here, but I kind of wanted to show people my process when I sort of iterate and look at AI and sort of how I tackle combat encounters and how to go about them. Now I'm going to try and restructure some of these into stuff I like, because there's some choices that Quantum may have made that is a personal preference. We wanted things to happen a certain way, and I don't entirely know what his intent is in a room by room basis. The overall map, I think he, from what I remember his descriptions, he wanted to make the AI look smarter and have some entertaining combat spaces, and he's accomplished that in some places. But I think that can be a lot better. So I'm here to kind of show you as I walk through this. Yeah, we're gonna go on a room by room process. We have 3 encounters. We have this starting room, this hallway, and this sort of courtyard area. This courtyard area one's really good, but I think it can be better. And but we're gonna go room by room. Normally I wouldn't do this, but for the sake of iteration and compile and whatnot, we're gonna do it like that. But before we get started, let's look at someone else play this level. So Skummeh has let me use his footage for this. I've muted his voice just for the sake of ease. But we're going to watch how he tackles this, and then we're going to hop in game and see what we can get from the AI behaviors here. And one of his comments in the video was that the AI didn't feel effective in a strange way. So we'll investigate that as well. And there is already some stuff that I'm noticing here, and when he engages, I'll point it out. Yeah, so there he shoots the guy. The guy tries shooting back at him, and he's just not really hitting very well. And if you notice, as I play this, let me just go back a little bit. The point where you see the soldier's head, this is not a good example. Let me go backwards. The point where you see the soldier's head and his gun is actually blocked by this bar here. Yeah. So you kind of see how that lines up, and the height that Skummeh is shooting from, that is going to make the AI very difficult to kind of engage from there, just because there's this bar really close to their face. It's at the perfect height to mess with them. And you might be able to see, I think some of the bullets are even hitting the bar right there. There was a couple little tings. And now this guy's moving up some more. We'll just analyze this playthrough some more. And goes up a manhack, and he kills him. So the AI just kind of dies. They're not really doing anything interesting before dying. That guy up there, up here in the fence area, kind of tried to run away and got cut off by his friend exploding. But let's hop in game real quick and take a look around. This is all very unscripted, so for all I know, the AI might be acting completely differently here. But let's see what happens when I get out here. They see me. This is temporary lighting, by the way. That's why everything looks very strange. Great grenade throw, dude. Alright, that's something we're gonna have to keep in mind. Let's see what happens when I try hiding around this corner, what they end up doing. I'm not using debug commands for this, because that can get kind of noisy on the screen. They're really just standing there. Okay. Come on, someone wants to move. Okay, he went behind cover. He's moving around. Come on, someone move in. He's trying, but you see how he's kind of doing a jiggle there? They're both slowly moving up. This is something I'll talk about in a second. Let me kill... Oh, the officer moved over. Okay. And the music's playing. Come on. Yeah, they're just kind of standing there. So, there's a lot that I think is going on here. One is advanced range, and the other is the layout of this space. So this is the space. He's got some cover volumes around here, around there, back here. So these fences are causing a lot of problems. Okay, now that I've done that, real quick before we leave, I want to show you this collision model view. You can see right there is a collision model on the fence. So now that I've deleted them and replaced them with these normal fences, they're not there. So it's not going to block the AI's line of sight, not going to block their bullets. But there is something else that is terribly wrong with this space, and I'll show it in a second. So I'm going to turn on the AI navigation preview. And it's loaded in, it's up here. Now you can actually keep this on as you move around the editor by clicking in the map settings. I can't really show what that is, that's on my second monitor, but trust me, it's there. So we're looking at the Nav Mesh now, and if you notice, with the way this space is, I'm going to throw down an Alyx model real quickly to show it. If the AI wants to go anywhere, they're going to have to cross through this middle space here, which is a big congestion problem, but also stops them from flanking effectively. So if, let's say, this officer wanted to flank, he would have to go around these boxes, around this piece of concrete cover back here. Yeah, around this concrete cover, around these boxes, and then get into flank. If this guy behind the fence, if he wanted to, say, move up to this pillar here, he'd have to go all the way around, all the way around the fence, then back over to the pillar. That is going to make them vulnerable and get them clumped up and make it a really easy fight. They're not going to really have a chance to spread out. So one of the ways I'm going to attempt to mitigate this is by opening up a pathway here on the left. And I'm also going to expand this cover volume just slightly. On top of that, the distance between these two spaces, with advanced range, you won't be able to move that far. I can demonstrate this really quickly with setting the start and fade distance on this Alyx model. Let me make sure it's editor only real quick. Yep, editor only. To show this default advanced range of 250 units. So if the player is hiding behind this barrel, the Combine will not be able to advance up to this pillar. But if they're hiding behind this wall here, they will still not be able to advance up to this pillar. Heck, they can't even go. Can't even go into the flank room. If the player hides all the way over at this back corner, come on, work with me, editor. There, then he will be able to go to the flank room. So that's something to keep in mind, is those advanced ranges when they come to actual cover nearby. So because of that, I am going to take all the Combine in this room while I'm thinking about it, just so that they're moving around and being mobile, and can pressure the player as well by getting closer in and more accurate. I am going to change their advance. Actually, I'm going to do it with the grunts for now. I'll get back to that officer later. Just so you can see what I'm doing. Override advance rate. I'm going to set it to 200 for now. And you are set to 400. Okay, that is really far away. I'm not quite sure why that was done. Advanced range does not affect the way AI take cover. Keep that in mind. 200. There we go. Now they will move up, but they won't get too close. And so now I can actually get behind this pillar. Additionally, they can't really get to this room. These shelves and stuff also get in the way. So they won't be in as much covered position. It's kind of cramped because of how narrow this is. So they have to really be careful about how they get in here. So just for ease of everything, I am going to remove these shelves. Now on top of this, so that helps get them into that room better, they still have to navigate around these boxes as well. So I am going to give them, delete one of these boxes and give them some space. Okay, now that I did that, you can see here on the nav preview with the sort of 3 layers, it's like a cake. The bottom layer, this one on the edge, is for head crabs. This level here is for Combine, and this middle level is for antlions. So now the Combine have more than enough space to squeeze behind these crates and get into their flank position or shoot from this crate. Now this cover volume, I am going to change it so that the Combine can use this crate a little better. But now that I've opened this up, now the Combine can shoot from the left side of this crate, from the right side of this crate. If the player moves around, they can shoot from, they can take cover behind it. If the player goes all the way over here, for example, they can shoot from there. Before, with the smaller space that it had, they could only really shoot from like the left side. So I've just made sure that if they want it, they can use this crate from any direction they want to. Heck, they can get in front of it if they want. Okay, this wall here. Here's a problem space. Oof. I want the Combine to be able to come around the right side of this wall. So there's multiple ways I could go about it. But instead, I am going to shrink this. And now let's look at our AI settings. This guy was throwing grenades, but the grenades weren't effective. They kept hitting, he kept like hitting weird spots over here. That was very strange. For now, I'm going to make sure that he keeps his grenade. But let me make sure all his other settings are right. For them to use these cover volumes tactically, having tactical variants at the normal tactics is great. So he's doing good. Let's take a look at this officer back here real quick. Let's see, spawn flags, fade calls, think outside PVS, okay. Override advanced range. Okay, he is set to 500. That is problematic. Let me show you why. Render properties, 500. That is 500 units away from the player. So the only spot this officer can go to if the player camps at that corner is there, or maybe somewhere behind him to shoot from. The thing is, they're all based on, Combine AI reactions are all based on line of sight. So he's not actually going to move around to those positions if the one he has is already good. Like for example here, unless he retreats and needs to come back out again, he's not going to really fall back. And if as the player moves up, this 500 unit sphere is going to move up with them too. So he's always going to essentially stay by this pillar, this sort of concrete piece of cover, which is boring. I don't like that. So I'm going to set his advanced range actually to 200, so he can participate in the fight more. That is just the maximum. That is just the minimum amount he can advance. He can technically go anywhere he wants because officers have a pretty long range. He could go behind these fences to shoot you. He could go over there. Just whatever's good. He just will exclude anything within 200 units. So we'll do that. On top of that, let's see. Okay, we'll move the gas mask on him. So he has defensive tactics. Has manhack proclivity, sentry position name, sentry 1. Let's see what that is. These 3 sentry positions. Okay, so the interesting thing, this is something that you wouldn't really know unless you know the AI a little better. The way defensive tactics works is they'll camp at the best place they can, and if they see you, they'll stop moving if they're trying to get to a spot that they can camp at. So in this case, the officer, anytime he gets line of sight to the player, will stop moving and start to engage. This makes him vulnerable because he could potentially be moving along here, see the player, be out in the open. Additionally, it makes them very stationary. Because they're not using normal tactics, they also don't want to be as aggressive. So when he throws up manhacks, he won't really do it as much to flush the player out as he would if he had normal tactics. So just to see how this goes, I'm going to set him to normal tactics. Just to see and figure how things are going. I like the 10-second manhack delay. That all makes sense. So I'm going to save this and compile it real fast, and we'll get in game. I just remembered something. I had to abort the compile. Oh, excuse me. I need to set up this cover volume. So I'm just going to remake this one from scratch. It's already all weird and skewed. So let me just do that real quick. So there we go. Got the cover position here. I extended out a little bit on the edge here in case the Combine wants to take cover or shoot behind this pillar. And he can engage the player here. Oop, didn't set up the reference position right. Let me get that in the wall there. I will actually tilt that a little bit more this way so that he's more biased to take cover toward the middle than on the outer edges of it. What was I saying? Yeah, so this should be good to start testing with. I am actually going to be a jerk to the player and make this wall a little bit smaller to give the Combine a little extra room to engage the player. And if he tucks into this corner, one thing I highly recommend, when you're doing combat and counter design, put your viewport camera where you think the player will be and look at what they can see from there. So if I'm here, I can see this pillar, that concrete barrier, and this pillar. So enemies can engage you from those all 3 of those positions. And they can possibly even engage me from this window unless I really tuck in here. If I tuck in here, they can engage me from there and there. Similar case over here. If my view is here, this entire area is open to me. I can be engaged from all of it. Anyway, Let's try and compile again. Okay, here we are back in game. We're doing this in flat screen just to make it easy for the iteration process. Setting up VR can be difficult sometimes. Oh god, I gotta sneeze. Sorry about that. So I've done a couple console commands. I have God mode on, give myself a gun, stuff like that, and well, let's see how they react when I engage them. So he's engaging, he's grenading. He's grenading well, actually. That guy's shooting me through the window there. That's a very hard shot to hit someone on. And that's the guy with the gas tank. And look at the way they're moving around left and right. He's hiding there. The officer's going to get a shot on me. Trying to. There he goes. Now, he's moving around. And if I hide, someone should try and flank me now. There we go. He flanked me instantly. That guy is getting real aggressive. I don't even have a cover volume there, so I think that's something else going on. There's a manhack. Ah, the manhack isn't moving. That is very important. So we've already got some better behavior from the AI. They're moving around a lot more. They're taking a lot more initiative. The officer is hanging in the back, because that's what officers do. Now, the manhack wasn't moving. Ah, because there's some issues with the air nodes. Let's bring these air nodes down. So that manhack was here. He couldn't really... This air node wasn't connected to anything, because it has to have line of sight to the other air nodes. So let me get this in between these doors here. If you don't know, manhacks use air nodes to navigate. Because of that, they don't use the Nav Mesh, and sometimes people forget to set these up. So let's get these lined up. Make sure they can see each other. Okay, there we go. We got our new air node layout. Let's actually, since we're here, let's do an entity only compile. That's this one, which means I don't have to the only things in the map that will move around is all the dynamic stuff. So things like cover volumes, NPCs, math counters, sound stuff. Theoretically, air nodes also and the air nodes fall into that category as well. So we are about to find out. Let's do an entity compile, and this is a much quicker compile. And we should be able to pop in a game right quick. Okay. Make contact. This guy, I might start him in cover. I know he's manning a console or whatever. Ooh, look at him move into cover. Where's that officer going? Ah, he's up behind that crate. Nice, nice, looking good. Let's see if I can bait a manhack out of him. There it goes. You see it in the shadow? And there he is. Look how aggressive that thing is. Ooh, it's dodging around, and it's coming at me. Yeah, alright, cool. He's using the manhack. Okay, they're there. He's shooting me there. Where is that captain? Oh, they're bunched up over there. Okay. Interesting. Well, let's kill this guy. Let's see if the captain tries to run. Oh, he tried to run. Got hit by it. So something we can do here, because the way I'm getting pushed around this space, which is nice because of all the thin cover and stuff. Ooh, nice grenade, dude. Let me just kill this guy real quick. Ooh, he's tossing another manhack. If we want to draw the player toward this area over here, I could have the officer, I could increase the officer's advance range when enough guys have died. That might be a bit too fancy for this encounter, but if you do get hemmed in like this, you can have a long dead space where there will be no one here. Having that sort of officer as a central point for you to kind of move towards would be nice, but there is an alternative as well. Instead of increasing his advance range and praying he will retreat, we can just have another guy come around the corner. So I'm going to set that up real quick. Try that out. Alright, so really quickly, I set up this grunt to run around the corner and run to this path point so that he can kind of lead players towards there. I set his default range to the default advance range. I lied. Now it's the default advance range, just so he can kind of stay back a little bit. Heck, actually, let me just set it to 300. Why not? That should be a decent number. I'm also setting his AI scripted schedule to end on damage or death. That is very important. So if he's running towards this position, part of the reason I do that is so that he can start making AI decisions once he's here. If he's shot by the player on the way to that point, he'll no longer run there and try and do something else. And they will smoothly transition to do that. So if he's running over here, gets shot, he'll try and take cover behind this pillar, for example. The reason I want him to start making AI decisions here is because his knowledge of the space, the amount of time it takes him to run from here to here isn't that significant, but it can widely change how they decide to maneuver in the environment. For example, if the player's back here when the guy spawns, he's going to try to run to one of these positions, which is going to leave him very vulnerable. So I can have him start making decisions here, so when the AI actually takes over, he makes a smaller number of decisions. Anyway, let's get this guy spawned in. Now this is important for various balancing reasons. I am going to also create a trigger so that, oh, excuse me, if the player goes past everyone, he will still trigger this guy to come around the corner. So I'm going to make that as well. Ooh, okay. I just had an idea. I just compiled the level, and now I have an idea. Let's move this to the side, because the grunt can't really flank very well, because he wants to go right if his buddy is on my left. But if I'm hunkered down over here, he can't really go that way, just because of how the cover's laid out. But if I give him a cover on the far right, he'll move up to it. And this is not very omnidirectional cover, so if the player pushes up, he'll have to retreat. I like that. I like that. I like that. So the player can also push up here if they want to, but this is very, very thin cover. So they're kind of encouraged to stick to the left side. The right side's a lot more vulnerable for everyone involved. Not quite sure of that, but that does kind of create this no man's land. So they're not really encouraged to stick on this side. All the action's over here. All the good cover's over here. You don't really want to skirt the edge like this. You want to stick to these cover points here, flank any enemies, charge any enemies, and this also gets you closer to where you're going to end up in the end. So let's actually try that. This is going to be omnidirectional. No, it shouldn't. I'm going to not make it omnidirectional. I'm going to lower it like that. And give him some space to stick his head out. Alright, let's try that again. Alright, where was I? Oh, yes. Okay, so little adjustments like that, me moving that pillar off to the right, that's what these, that's what good combat design is made of. With little small improvements, once you get a good solid layout down, and then just a little bit niggles. I mean, I'm a perfectionist, so, you know, I try to get as much as I can out of the AI. But let's see how this works now. Get spotted, he sees me. They're moving out, he tosses a grenade. Okay, oh, God mode's not on. Okay, that grenading is a problem. I like him having grenades, but I don't like him sucking at it. So I'm actually, while I'm here, let me pause this real quick before we, oh, I like it. Now I'll keep the grenades to him. It kind of pushes him to the right anyway. So as I take cover here, he should be going to the right. Oh, I don't have a gun. That officer is moving up. Goodness gracious. Give grenade. Let me kill you. And he should go, there he goes, he's going off to the right. And he's tucking into cover. There we go. Still a little vulnerable, you know, he could be tighter to the cover, but I think it's fine. They're really keeping the fire up. Since I'm here, can he flank me while I'm here? The officer, I mean. Let me check that real quick, actually. He cannot. You know what, that should be fine. Because then the fight's here, and this is a really bad place for a person to be. So you either want to use this piece of cover and engage him from the side, or retreat over here, which would give you chance for you to get flanked. So you're kind of bopping back and forth between these two pieces of cover, unless you get super aggressive. So yeah, I think I'm okay with that. And then we'll kind of keep them make their distance if you push it. Also makes them keep their distance if you push into the space. So now our buddy should come around the corner. Ah, there he is. Okay, I heard a line play twice. I think I did not remove some outputs on this guy. I did not. There we go. That was my bad. Okay. So this guy should not be trying to flank me. He should just be sticking back there for the most part. The officer is going to try and get aggressive. You see how he has to kind of move around the space like that? So that's why it's important to kind of get your flow really good. Because he's vulnerable while he's doing that. Oh, look at that grenade throw. Dude, I'm so proud of you. Alright, let me kill this guy. He's dead. You're still good back there. Now if I try and get in cover, you should move back over there, potentially. Oh, he's just gonna stay there. Because I think... Nope, he moved back. Cool. So he's trying to keep his distance. And he's not going to move into this space very far anyway. Like if I take cover here... Look at those grenades. He's gonna mostly grenade me from a distance. 300 is pretty far, actually. Oh, nobody's moving in. Oh, he's moving into that space. Yeah. So that advanced range is working out. Kill him real quick. So he kind of takes the role that the officer did, but keeping it... Now, the key to Combine combat, when you're dealing with mostly grunts and officers, is keeping the squad sizes small. They tend to really kind of not move much with larger squad sizes. But by pacing the spawns like this, I can create a similar effect to what Quantum had earlier, where this officer kind of dug in at that piece of cover there. But now it kind of flows better with the combat. So as you killed one guy, you've got two kind of duking around, you get another one, and then whoever's left gets reinforced, and this guy will draw you forward into the next space, kind of defending the rest of the area. It creates a better flow to it and makes the AI a little bit less static than he was before. There's now more enemies, which has its ups and downs, I guess, but they're paced out better, so you're only ever facing 3 to 2 at a time. So with that, now that we've gotten through that room, let's go take a look at the next room, the next little encounter space.